name is Abiola Famuriwa, and one of the two MCs that will be running the show, and I believe we're going to have a great afternoon. And with me, I have. We just want to welcome you to this great event. Thank you so very much for taking your time out to come to this great event, and I believe that everything is going to go well. You know, there's one thing that stands out when I engage Nigerians and we talk about Nigeria outside. The general thing that we get is, oh, that country, I don't want to talk about it. Oh, I'm not interested. Look, forget about that country. But when you keep talking to Nigerians and you touch their, the real pulse, you get them to speak, you can see how passionate everyone is about the country called Nigeria. And that is evident with the turnout that we're seeing right now. Because when I saw the snow coming, I was like, oh, probably we're going to have one person's show. But look at wonderful and beautiful people that showed up. And we really want to thank you, want to welcome you to this special occasion. Thank you very much. At this point, may I ask you to stand for our national anthem?
Nigeria's not on to serve a Bakare. We come and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind. One nation bounding freedom. We stand unity. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all the sons of man. We know we must receive right, the true cause strong and free. From far away, oh Canada, we stand on our feet. Oh, keep alive, glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on thy holy. Oh, Canada, we stand on thy holy.
Thank you so much, everybody. I can see that we are all passionate about Nigeria, and I can see it in the national anthem. As long as we all have stayed in Canada, many of us don't even know the national anthem of Canada. But I'm so delighted to see that we still remember Nigerian anthem, and it's something that shows me that we are all into this country. We're looking forward to a better Nigeria. Right now, I just want to take care of some housekeeping issues. Please, as we go into this program, it will be recorded. automatically you've signed the privacy agreement to be shown on the recording. If you don't want to be shown on the recording, I'll advise that probably you can go on the live streaming and watch it on YouTube, on Facebook, because everything that is around here will be recorded. We have emergency exits. Here is one in front of you. There is one on the right side, and the other one is where you came in through in case of any emergency. The muster point will be at the back there if you go out, and another one at the front there if there is any emergency. But we know and we believe God that there will not be any emergency here today. And the other, in case of fire drill as well, there might be fire drill. So if we have fire drill, we'll have to go through that exit and this one. And then the washroom is outside of this hall, outside there, going into the towards the reception. We appeal to everyone to please switch off your phone or put it in vibration. One, we don't want to distort the flow of information or flow of the program. At the same time, you don't want to disturb the concentration of other people around. We have water provided by the hotel at the back there, flavored water or ordinary water. And at the end of the program, we have a food pack to be given to people. Unfortunately, we signed an agreement with the hotel that we will not be eating in the hall. We all know the reason why, financial constraints. So please, we appeal to you that there is food at the end of the program, but we will advise that everyone should eat it outside of this place. And that will help all of us. Thank you.
At this point, we need to talk about the group that brought all this to being. This is PTB for Nigeria in Calgary. And for those of us who may be wondering that what does that stand for, it's Pastor Tunde Bakare for Nigeria in Calgary. You know, there may be questions that may be raising through your mind that, you know, how did we come about that? We know that Dr. Bakare has been doing these town hall engagements in various cities, and we just want to adopt the same name that he has been using. So hence the PTB for Nigeria in Calgary. So we just added extra the city name to give it a flavor. So who are we? So we are PTB for Nigeria in Calgary. We're a group of Nigerian citizens drawn across the cities and provinces in Canada. And we also have, we are privileged to have a member joining our group all the way from the United States of America. And we are Pan-Nigeria group. It is not partisan. It is not a religious group. So at this point, it's very good to point out that to us. Yes, Dr. Tunde Bakare is the pastor, but the event that we are having today, it is nothing about religion. It is not a political thing that we're doing. All right, so please have that in mind. As a matter of fact, we are nation builders, which I believe every one of you seated right now, you want a change and you want to build that nation. And that's who we are.
Why are we doing what we're doing? Maybe I should throw the question out to everyone. Why do you think you should be here today? Why do you think this is important to you? Why do you feel that Nigeria should be what you want in your mind? Why we are doing what we are doing or what we've done up till this point? We desire a new Nigeria where peace, order, equity, inclusion, justice, and good governance are the reasons for government. And where service is the sole reason for seeking public office. And where the promotion and delivery of citizens' welfare is the rationale for government's existence.
So what we have done so far. As Nigerian citizens resident in Canada, we The reason why you are here today and I am here is because we can enjoy the peace that we have in Canada. So what we have done so far, we embrace that same Canadian value, the order, the rule of law, the decency and the decorum, which defines the Canadian character. And we desire that in our fatherland. Just to let you know, I believe when Mayor Naid Menshi was elected the first time, I believe in 2010 or 2009, thereabout. I remember vividly that I participated in the electoral process. And I recall that I was asked, why do you want to do this job? And I still remember what I said because it was the truth. I said I wanted to see how elections are run in Canada. So we can take the same idea and take it back to Nigeria. So we know that there is process in this country, there is decorum, there is decency. So now that is not enough for us to be talking about it. Then we look around and we see that Dr. Bakare has ideas that are very related to what we believe in. So that is why we decided to partner with Dr. Bakare with his ideal of a new Nigeria. And that is for us to meet him and to see how we can join him, to partner with him, to see how he's going to unveil the new Nigeria that he has in mind. And that's what we have done so far. So the resident in Canada can be part of that new agenda.
Who sponsored us? We sponsored ourselves. As individuals, it was just one man's vision to say, okay, we want to bring all the Nigerians around here together to bring Dr. Bakare to this city. We are not a political party. We did not get any funding from anybody. Clearly said, we did not sponsor Pastor Bakare to this place. He sponsored himself. We are just organizing this program. As a group, we are independent and we have no affiliation to any organization, ethnic, religious, social, or political group. We are just individuals that have the passion for Nigeria in their mind that contributed as minimum as $10 to this program. And I want to take this opportunity to actually thank every member of PTB for Nigeria in Calgary for their contribution. $100 there, $50 here, $100,000 there, $2,000 there, $500 there. We came to this program. And I want to give applause to every one of us that has come. And even if you have not contributed and you're here today, the main reason why we're here is because we want people here. And we're so grateful that you are here today. And we are so blessed to have you around here. Our goal, why did we do that? To sensitize Nigerians in Canada of our roles in rebuilding the nation Nigeria. That we all will be proud of and hand over to the next generation. So that at the end of the day, you have contributed yours. Like I'll say, that is me. Paul in the Bible said, I have done my own. And I've finished the race. I want to be able to say, I have finished my course. I've been able to achieve what I want to achieve on earth or what God has given to me to achieve. And I believe that each and every one of us have that passion in us. We have something to contribute to our nation, Nigeria, and that is why we are here today.
At this junction, we want to thank you for following us so far. Let me put this straight. Everyone who has made it out today is a dignitary. I want to appreciate you for that. At the same time, we have some special dignitaries that we really want to recognize today. And I know that you will join me in recognizing them as well. By the time we start telling you what they have done, you will agree with us that yes, we need to do that. First on my list, I believe everyone here is a Nigerian. If you are not a Nigerian, raise up your hand. You are not a Nigerian. Okay. All right. So, some people in our society, they took some initiative that, hey, wait a minute, we need to bring all Nigerians in Calgary together under a common umbrella. And I believe about some 28 years ago, some committee of friends, they started to meet in different houses. They conceived the idea like it would be nice to have an association where all Nigerians will come together. But about 25 years ago, officially, Nigerian Canadian Association was officially launched. And it will not be good if we don't recognize the effort of those people who did it. And today, we have the pleasure of the first Nigerian Association president in our midst. The reason why you can come together as a Nigerian, the reason why you can think about how to renew your passport and you don't want to go to Ottawa, and you can do it at your doorstep. So I have the pleasure of inviting Elder Osita Nwofo to the table. Thank you, sir. Sir, you are very welcome. I asked one of our members, I said, if there is one word that will come out of your mind to describe Elder Nwofo, what would that be? And he yelled it and he said, unity. So I will say it in my own accent, unity. So I call him Elder Unity. You are very welcome, sir. Thank you very much. All right. And next on the list is I'm going to invite the second special guest, Elder Osita Nwofo. They started this, and since then they'll be, passing the baton over and over to other people. And so far, I don't think there was election rigging or something. So it was so peaceful because someone laid that foundation. All right? So for some of you who may think that you are missing out, that you don't have the president of Nigeria, to talk to, or you don't feel there's nobody on your head that is ruling over. So now at this point, we want to invite the current president of Nigerian Association in Calgary. There's one thing about this woman that I need to talk to you about. I was at one association of the ethnic group, and I saw that person walked in with, beaming. I'm like, who is this person? And what I can see on her was all smiles. And not only that, she came and she's still very good with the culture. And I look at her very well, and what she was holding was a bottle of wine and a gift. I said, this one is a complete package. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcome Mrs. Njideka Harris Eze. You're welcome.
Bakare to hear the montage while he's coming in, and I think he's almost at the door there.
Deborah, there's something that comes to mind. I was just thinking, how do you know the sign that you are actually getting younger? One day I was coming from the office with my colleague walking through the parking lot, just to go home. And all of a sudden, my colleague just realized that he left his glasses in the office. And I said, wait a minute, I left mine too. And I started looking for it. And my colleague said, you are wearing it. My colleague is there and I know he's laughing too. I was like, oh. So I said, well, that's a sign that I am getting younger. They should be in with us shortly.
One day, I know that there will be a new Nigeria, a land of hope, peace and unity, where justice prevails and love abounds, where I can become the best that I can ever be in life. God, give me a new Nigeria.
Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Nigeria will flourish again. Oh, yeah. Nigeria will flourish again. Yeah. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. God will heal our land, restore us again. Nigeria will flourish again. We're claiming this land for the Lord. We're ready for restoration. We're claiming this land for the Lord. We're ready for restoration. From the north to the south, the east to the west, Nigeria will flourish again.
Thank you so much. At this moment, I want to recognize someone that is so dear to us and to the cause of our nation as well. Pastor Nims Obunge. He's from the UK. Pastor Nims Obunge is so passionate about Nigeria. I'm not sure how long he had stayed in Nigeria. The little I know about him was just preaching in church. But I I know that he was awarded member of the British Empire by Her Majesty the Queen. So in short, as Canadian, we respect the honor of the Queen. So we take this advantage to welcome the Queen, your presence, into our midst. Thank you. He was later appointed as Her Majesty's Deputy Lieutenant of Greater London. We initially planned to bring you up here, but I know it's part of your protocol to be there. So notwithstanding the head table or the low table, you are recognized. Thank you, sir. Lastly, I want to invite to the head table the convener of this meeting. I was not told to do this, but I'm going to do it. Mr. Adebayo Adejuwon, as many of us know him as Brother B, Pastor B, everything that he is to each and every one of us. I'm sure he woke up one night and he was like, you know what? I think I can do this. Let me call all these people together and see how this thing will work. He didn't know it would blow out to the best man. But eventually got to control, and here we are today because of one person's connection to the vision that God gave to our pastor, the Dr. Tunde Bakare. And I want to use this privilege to say thank you to you, Mr. Adejuwon, for starting up this thing. The ignition that you started then, thinking that it would just burn amongst 4 or 5 people, has come to fruition today. And I believe that God will ignite something in our midst today that will, He's not limited by distance. He will ignite something here today that will go back into Nigeria and will bring fulfillment to our nation. So I welcome Mr. Adebayo Adejuwon to the high table.
Thank you. A little while ago, I said something about our elder Osita Nwofo. And I said there's a trademark about him. Does anybody still remember what I said? Mr. Unity. And there's no way that I can do the talk that will be the way he will say it. So I want to invite Elder Nwofo to come to the podium now to talk to us about what unity means so that we can follow suit. Please.
Thank you, NC. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very much honored to be here, not because I'm so special, but because I'm excited. I'm one of the people, the Nigerians that are very passionate about seeing Nigeria move forward. And to see this happening in Calgary is another indication that we have a seed that will be planted, and which by God's grace will grow, and we will all nurture it. Nigeria has a place in this world. I believe that very firmly. It's been blessed so much by God that He has all kinds of resources, human resources, unbelievable types, natural resources, everything that a nation will have and be proud of. So I am very, very interested in anything that will be good for Nigeria and Nigerians. And I think this is one of them. I want to thank the convener I want to welcome all of you to this project. I like the word project because it's something that can grow. It's something can attract all kinds of interests. So this project is a very good word. And whoever coined it has got me going. So I want to thank the conveners especially. And I'm pleased to see that so many Nigerians are out despite this weather. And I can say that we have something here. I believe that all of us here are very interested in the well-being of Nigeria and Nigerians. You see, when we started the Nigerian Association, it was because of love of people, a love of brothers and sisters, love of our children, and most especially our children, because we have to leave a legacy. And this is what I would like Nigerians to always remember when they are serving. We have to leave a legacy for our children and our children's children. So welcome to this occasion. And there's no doubt that most Nigerians are dissatisfied. I read and in fact this morning I just took a glance of the invitation. And we talked about this dissatisfaction among Nigerians. There's no doubt about that. We all know that. But what is exciting is that people in diaspora are taking up the charge. It is so important. We have been so dormant that this may be a way to ignite interest in moving Nigeria forward. And this thing that starts here can go all over the world. And you don't have to look too far. If you look at what happened in Calgary, you may get an idea, just a glimpse of how a little candle can light up the world. It was started with interest and love, respect for God, the Almighty, and today it is history. We started so small, and we are looking for accommodations. And God provided the leadership. I talked so much about people not doing things for their own self-aggrandizement, but doing it for love of their people. And God provided the leadership from the beginning till today. I pay my respects to all the leaders, all the past presidents of the Nigerian Association, and all the pioneers of the Nigerian Association, and those who came after them, because it's been a wonderful ride. I hope today will be a beginning of another wonderful, powerful ride. We have problems in Nigeria. Let me tell you what excited me even more. We have problems, we all know. Ethnic, cultural, name it. Resources, distribution. But we will lose sight of why God created us. To make an impact. We have to make an impact. You know, I like the parable of the talents. Because God came and gave everybody a little something and said, go and do what you can with it. And I'm sure that most of us here know the story and what happened. When God comes back, he's going to ask us, what did you do? What did you do with what I gave you? So today, actually is something that is being handed to Nigerians in the diaspora. We can say in Calgary. But what we do with it is for tomorrow to tell. So I want to thank the organizers. That my excitement is what was said in the invitation. It is that despite the problems we have in Nigeria, this organization has articulated the restructuring of Nigeria. The main goal is not to break up Nigeria. That's my impression. I hope I'm right. But to make Nigeria better. That is what restructuring is really all about. Is to make something better. It does not mean that Nigeria will be no more. We have to emphasize that always. Because some people may misunderstand this word, restructuring. And I think Nigeria needs it. There's no question. Nigeria needs restructuring. The dissatisfaction is too much. And if we continue, we may go the way of the past. There is violence and all of it. So I want to thank you again for organizing this and for thinking big. By thinking big, I mean that we are undertaking a project that is really beyond our realm. But we will think we can still achieve. I say big because it will take all the dedication and the energy of Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians, I should add, to get something going. So, my hope and prayer is that this seed that you're planting today will grow, and that all Nigerians will nurture it in truth and love. So thank you very much, and I wish you a very happy deliberation, very successful meeting, and let us take it and run from here. And this is in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, sir. When our elder was talking, he mentioned some things that are very important to us. And I believe he mentioned something about seed. And it talks about legacy. He also mentioned something about how the diasporans can do our own part. When you plant a seed will not grow by itself. It needs to be watered, isn't it? So we need to do that. When we water the seed and the seed begins to germinate, to grow, and it blossoms, it becomes the legacy that we want others to follow through. And he also talked about how the aspirants can do our own part. May I tell you that we have a role to play, and I will give you this example. As an Ijesha man myself, just last year in Ontario, the Ijesha in diaspora, they did something that will shock you. For some people who saw it, great. For those who did not, Ijesha people in Toronto, they elected an Igbo man as the president of the association. I thought somebody would shout to that. So, sir, thank you very much. It has started. It went in the newspaper in Nigeria because people were shocked. And I know that it will continue. And people say, Igbo man, being a president of Ijesha. I said, well, we are campaigning about it, that everything should go beyond all our emotional stuff. Put the right person there. That is what is important. All right. Okay. So I would also like to invite our current president of Nigerian Association to come forward now to talk to us. A word of advice. She is our president, okay? And she deserves all the accolades given to the president of Nigeria. Please welcome Mrs. Cindy Jeka to the podium.
I think I should be saying good afternoon, everybody. And I want to welcome specially in our midst Pastor Dr. Tunde Bakare to the city of Calgary, a city of champions, especially when we're looking at the Nigerian community. I also want to thank the conveners of this initiative, because without them, I will probably be curled up in my bed right now, wishing I was maybe in Lagos, away from the cold and the snow. But I thank them for dragging us out here this afternoon to come and talk and reflect on a project that should be very, very near and dear to all of our hearts. Project New Nigeria. A long time ago, in 2005, I used to live in Ontario. And there was a Nigerian family. They had a son. The dad was a medical doctor practicing in Detroit. And this young man was a son that any one of us would have been really proud of. But he was ill. He had cancer. And they started to look for someone that would be a match so that they could do some transplant on him. They looked all through. They couldn't find someone in Canada and in the US. So they had to extend the search to Nigeria. But to the shock of this medical doctor, at that time, there was nowhere in Nigeria where they could run the tests to even determine who could be a match or not. And what this family had to do was to move about 30 members of their family, extended all the way from Port Harcourt. They drove them to Lagos, where they collected the blood samples and they sent it to a lab in South Africa to run that test. The first time, it didn't work. There was a delay when the flight got to Ghana, so the samples were not useful anymore. This family had to travel again from Port Harcourt back to Lagos to collect these blood samples again. This was in 2005. And this was a Nigerian family with a medical doctor. He was out there saving lives. Now, I know most of us left Nigeria because we were tired of the uncertainty. We were tired of a system that we could not be sure of. That when you leave your house and you come home at the end of the working day, you give thanks because you would have run through so many gauntlets, from armed robbers to fuel scarcity to whatnot. We left Nigeria because we wanted a better life for our children, and we were frustrated. We didn't think we could fix it. Now I'm speaking for myself. I don't want to assume I'm speaking for everybody, but maybe there's some people that thought the same way I did. Because most of us, left to our own devices, would have probably thrived. We were looking at our children and we were wondering, is this what we want them to grow up in? Now, that Nigerian family, they came to that realization that you can go to anywhere. Someday, you may meet Nigeria. And the Nigeria you're going to use is going to be the Nigeria that you left. So I think what we're going to be talking about today is what kind of Nigeria do we want to rely on? What kind of Nigeria do we want for the other almost 200 million Nigerians that did not get a pass to come out to another society that is built on order, that is built on progress, that is built on fairness, justice, equity? What about the rest of the 200 million Nigerians who also happen to be our family members? What kind of Nigeria are we living for them? Now, the other thing I want to ask this room is how many of us here are products of the free education? And I use that word very responsibly. We know what education costs here. How many of us are products? Because in Calgary, we're a unique group, mostly professionals. So for us to come here, we already had some educational qualifications to come into this country. So how many of us in this room benefited from the charity of Nigeria? I'm one of them. There you go. So I think we have to indict ourselves when we ask, what kind of inheritance are we going to leave for the people that are going to come after us? What did we meet? I went to a secondary school, Federal Government Girls College, Apuloma. The daughter of the deputy governor of the state was right there with me. Ministers' children were in my school. What kind of education did we leave behind? What have I, Njideka Harris says, done for my secondary school, where I also happen to be a federal scholar? I was on a federal government scholarship. What have I given back? What have you given back to your alma mater? The great lions and lionesses are here. UNN, Unilag, IFE, ABU, Uniport. We're all in this room. What have we done for our alma mater? What have we given back? So I don't want to go on and on because I don't even have the answers. If I did, I might have dodged this meeting. We're here not so much to beat ourselves up about the problems about Nigeria. What we want are solutions. How do we get involved on the federal, on the state, on the local levels? How do we get involved to build that new Nigeria? Because someday, we just may have to rely on Nigeria. So thank you so much for coming out. And thank you for this privilege for me to speak to such a room of important people, intelligent people, professionals, consummate professionals in your own rights. Thank you so much for the passion that made you to get up and come here this afternoon. And by the grace of God, we're not going to go away without solutions. Thank you so much to the conveners. May God replace the effort, the resources that you've poured into this afternoon of love. And may God continue to bless all of us. Bless this country, Canada, that we call home. And bless the restructured, the new Federal Republic of Nigeria that we are going to witness. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please, we want to admonish every one of us to switch off our phones or put it in silence. It's distorting the phone, the microphone, the systems around here. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. President. That was a wonderful speech. And I believe the takeaway from that speech is it doesn't have to be big, but we need to start from somewhere. And I also understood from what you said that when we do criticism, because we are very used to that, we criticize the country, we criticize the president, we criticize. But what are we doing in our own little way to assist? It can be something as simple as paying someone else school fees, pay their bills. We can make an impact. And I'm sure that what came from your mouth today, we are not just going to hear it, we will do it, we will take action. Your dollar, how much is a dollar now? 280. Okay. What is the cost of, if you have to go to McDonald's for people who have not repented? How much does it cost? How much? $5? Is it that cheap? At least you probably get about $7, $8. So if you, let's say, for the sake of calculation, let's say $10. So that is 2,800 naira. So for someone in Nigeria, 2,800 naira actually goes a long way. So please, we will do our own best to reach out to the people. Enough of blaming the government. Let's do something. I was talking to someone yesterday. I said, for people who know seats, there is a building there. The building was sponsored by one person in Calgary to the tune of $10 million. He did not wait for the premier to do it. So let's do our own part to help the country. All right. So the program continues, and I'm just going to explain how this goes. 2 segments. So the first segment, we're going to invite our special guest, Dr. Bakare, who will deliver a speech. I know it's the moment that we all been waiting for, because we want to know what is going on, and I know you will not be disappointed. And the second part, we're going to take a short break after it finishes, maybe for about 15 minutes, and we'll come back. I know a lot of us will have questions on our mind that you want to ask our guest, and it's ready for us. So that will be question and answer session when we come back from the break.
With this on, I want to call on Dr. Joseph Osuji and Mr. Adekunle Ayoade to come introduce our guest speaker.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are all welcome once again to the town hall meeting organized by the PTP for Nigeria group in Calgary. The theme of today's meeting, as we all know, is renegotiating a new Nigeria. And we are privileged to have an eminent and a distinguished man from our great nation, Nigeria, speaking to us on the theme. Our guest speaker today is widely known as a pastor and the serving overseer of the Latter Rain Assembly in Nigeria. But why these are true of our guest speaker, they don't tell the complete story of the illustrious citizen of Nigeria that Dr. Osoji and myself have the honor of introducing to the distinguished audience here today. Indeed, our guest speaker is a man of many parts. He is a lawyer, a preacher, a teacher of the gospel, and civil rights activist, and a nation builder. Today, as our guest speaker adorns his nation building art without dropping other arts, we will dwell on his nation building credentials while we leave the other arts unexplored until another auspicious time. Our guest speaker was born in Abeokuta, in southwest Nigeria on 11th of November 1954. He attended All Saint Primary School in Abeokuta, Lishabi Grammar School, all in Abeokuta, Ogun State, and he proceeded to University of Lagos for his law degree. He was called to the Nigerian bar in 1981. He practiced law with different chambers in Nigeria, like we have he practiced law in Ganifa chambers, Rotimi Williams and Co., Buck and Co. solicitors, before he established his own chambers, El Shaddai chambers, and that's Tunde Bakare and Co. Our guest speaker holds Doctor of Ministry degree from Indiana Christian University in the United States of America. I will give the mic to Dr. Osoji to just round up to conclude. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to introduce Dr. Bakare. Well before restructuring became a cliche in Nigeria, our guest speaker was a frontline restructuring advocate. He is committed to the unity of Nigeria. And as far as is concerned, a restructured Nigeria is addressing the fundamentals that will build the unity of the country. It was for this reason that he has delivered several position papers on the imperative of a restructured federation as a pathway to the new Nigeria. It was also for this reason that he leads the New Nigeria project, which he is advocating for us today in Calgary. It was also for this reason that he is engaging Nigerians abroad on the need to prioritize the building of a nation, Nigeria, over the ritual of 4-year elections, which we're about to have again in the next few months. It was for this reason that he went to UK, USA, most recently Scotland, to spread the message of the new Nigeria. And it is also for this reason he is here today amongst us in camp. Our guest speaker is a husband, is a father. He's married to Mrs. Lai, whom he fondly calls and refers to Mrs. B. And between them, they have 5 adult children. Ladies and gentlemen, with all this depressing news coming from Nigeria, sincerely speaking, anytime I listen to Dr. Bakare, it builds my hope. And it builds my hope to the extent that I'm convinced I will new Nigeria. Can you please help me stand up, gentlemen, and welcome our special guest of honor today. Welcome, Dr. Bakare.
And I'm standing to say the new Nigeria is possible. What have I done with where I came from?
I remember Nobugo State approaching me if I could do what we did in my primary school to other schools in Abeokuta, because we more or less tore it down and rebuilt it and gave it back to the school. They became a wooden school. If you get to my primary school today, you'll see Tunde Bakare house there. I didn't ask for it. They created it. If you go to Lishabi Grammar School today, you find Tunde Bakare house there. I didn't build it, but the school decided to honor me. And several times University of Lagos had given me honor because we plowed back. And if you go where I was born, you will see what had become of the community that I was in. Many people in my community were dying. And I discovered due to waterborne disease. I went back there, redid my house, rebuilt the community, rebuilt houses, did roads, did that community. The people who are dying of waterborne disease began to survive and to blossom. And they daily pray for us. May I ask you to know how much it costs me to give them free water, that community? About 5 of them. Do you know how much it costs me in a month? Can somebody guess? Oh, I really want to show off that I'm a rich man. Please help me. 100,000 naira. I wish you got it right. It cost me less than 20,000 naira a month just for diesel to pump the water for the people. I've always been privileged to be part of big things that's in a much small way. I never want to be part of a small thing that starts in a big way. You can make a difference in your community. The problem is you do not think about it. This afternoon, you become so convinced or convicted to look back to the nation that produced you, where you were raised in. I trust God that He brought you here safely. He will bring you back to contribute your quota to the development of our nation. The thing the committee at Church is renegotiating the new Nigeria. Before I go to the depth of the speech, and our lady, thank you so very much for challenging us to give back to the community that produced us. Before I go into the depth of the speech itself, I would like to ask, is a new Nigeria possible? I cannot hear you. I do not have to be a rocket scientist to know that if there was no old York, there will now be New York. If there is no old Mexico, there will now be New Mexico. If there was no old Delhi, there will now be New Delhi. And in case you believe it, read your Bible. There's going to be a new Jerusalem that will descend from heaven. The God who is going to make that possible. Out of the rubble of the old, a new Nigeria that works will manifest in my lifetime. That's my conviction, and that is my passion. Renegotiating the new Nigeria. My introductory question is very simple. Is the unity of Nigeria truly negotiable? Our elder said, he thinks we still want a united nation called Nigeria. And I absolutely agree with him. But I'm asking you a question. Is the unity of Nigeria truly negotiable? Every now and then, we, the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, are reminded that it is sacrilegious to even consider tinkering with the current makeup of the Nigerian state. At the 2014 National Conference convened by former President Goodluck Jonathan, we as delegates to the conference were forewarned to regard the unity and indissolubility of the Nigerian state as sacrosanct. In 2017, 3 years after that conference, when the current President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation upon his return from an extended medical trip in London, he echoed this sentiment, declaring categorically, Nigeria's unity is settled and not negotiable. I recall that the president was reacting to mounting agitations by dissident groups in the country. A little over a month after the president's address, the Nigerian Senate responded to the heightened calls for secession by reiterating the same sentiment. Nigeria's unity is not negotiable. When these statements are examined on the surface, they appear to embody the highest manifestations of patriotism and a firm belief in the Nigerian nation. However, these romantic expressions of affection for country, when put in context, also hint at the unwillingness of our country's leaders to have robust and honest conversations on the fragile state of our union. I am a patriot and an ardent believer in the Nigerian nation, and I will never back any cause that aims to break up my beloved country. Moreover, I'm strongly convinced that the destiny of Nigeria is inextricably tied to mine, and I'm ready to spend and be spent to ensure that Nigeria remains one indissoluble nation. Be that as it may, failure to address fundamental issues under the guise of preserving the unity can only fast-track disunity. I'm also aware that in every human institution, from the family to the nation, honest conversations between members are catalysts of healthy relationships. Fostering dialogue among the constituent parts of our nation, bringing grievances to the fore, and dealing wisely with such grievances rather than avoiding them or sweeping them under the carpet. These are the practical ways to keep Nigeria one. Statehood can be enforced, but nationhood must be cultivated, and honest conversations are the tools for cultivating nationhood. Therefore, my aim today in Calgary is to unearth the undercurrents that necessitate such honest conversations among the constituents of the Nigerian nation, and to show that the terms and conditions of our unity are in fact negotiable and can be reconfigured. In this, I'll be telling the story and unearthing major grievances that have forestalled our integration to true nationhood. I believe that by so doing, we can find national healing and appropriate framework for coexistence. The foundation of the Nigerian state. Prior to the advent of colonialism, the entities that currently constitute the Nigerian state existed as separate groups. They were empires, such as the Oyo Empire, the Benin Empire, the Kanem-Borno Empire, and later the Sokoto Caliphate. Some were kingdoms and city-states like the Hausa city-states, the Nupe Kingdom, and the Jukun Kingdom. Others such as the Igbos and Ijors were organized as towns, villages, and clans. Indeed, some form of cooperation existed among these entities. They often exchanged goods and services in intergroup trades. However, they also had intergroup conflicts ranging from mere distrust and mutual suspicion to full-blown wars. As a result of such wars and violent interactions, some nations were conquered, some kingdoms were annexed, some territories became vassal states, peoples were enslaved, and in some cases, whole towns were destroyed. Except you are a student of history, you will not know that slavery existed before the white man came. You will agree with me that under such circumstances, these peoples that occupy the area around the river Niger would naturally regard one another with deep suspicion, and that any future interactions will be volatile. By the middle of the 19th century, the European incursion into Africa intensified. Soon, the area around the river Niger gradually fell into European hands, and the colonization of the territories in the area commenced with the conquest of Lagos in 1861 to form the Lagos colony. Subsequently, the British commenced a series of territorial mergers in the south. They merged the Oil Rivers Protectorate with surrounding territories to form the Niger Coast Protectorate. Then in 1897, after the Benin Massacre and the conquest of the ancient Benin Kingdom, the colonialists merged the Niger Coast Protectorate and the conquered Benin Kingdom to form the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria. 9 years later, in 1906, they merged the Lagos colony with the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria to form the Colony and Protectorate of Southern Nigeria. I'm repeating this not because I don't think you know it. I'm doing so because the 21st century illiterate is not the man who cannot read or write. It's a man who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Those who don't know their history invariably repeat the blunders of history until they become history. We must find out where the rain began to beat us before we can fix our hydra-headed monster of problems. While the colonialists carried out this territorial remapping in the south, they came headlong with the Sokoto Caliphate in the north and eventually defeated one of Africa's largest empires of all time. Then in 1900, they created the Protectorate of Northern Nigeria and consolidated this protectorate through further conquest. By 1903, all the territories in the area around the river Niger had been conquered. By 1906, the regional lines between the north and the south of Nigeria were clearly drawn in the form of two separately administered protectorates. If you have ever read the Amalgamation Proclamation, you will see that Lord Dugard called these two entities two countries. However, on January 1, 1914, under the leadership of Lord Frederick Lugard, Britain amalgamated the northern and southern protectorates into the colony and protectorate of Nigeria. There are certain important points to note on this phase of Nigeria's evolution. First, the entities that today constitute the Nigerian state were brought together by force of arms. The sovereigns who handed these territories over to the colonizing powers negotiated from a position of weakness. They were incapacitated by Britain's gunboat diplomacy. In Lagos, for instance, Oba Dosunmu was compelled to sign the Lagos Treaty of Cession with the gunboat pointing towards the Idugara, the palace of the Oba of Lagos. In Benin, Oba Ovarawen Nogbaisi was deposed and exiled upon the defeat of his army. In the north, Caliph Muhammadu Atahiru, one of the Sokoto Caliphate, was killed as he mobilized the people of the Caliphate in resistance against Lord Lugard, whose forces had already taken over the Caliphate by force of arms. Another important point to note is the fact that several of these conquests, and this may surprise you, several of these conquests and mergers of territories were not executed by the British government, but by a profit-making enterprise, the Royal Niger Company. Nigeria only became the property of Great Britain in 1899 when the Royal Niger Company sold the territory to the British Crown for £865,000. Can you imagine that Nigeria was purchased by the British government as a piece of real estate? Finally, the use of the term amalgamation in reference to the series of administrative mergers underscores the fact that the integration of the peoples and cultures within the merged territories was not the overriding objective of the colonialists. Cambridge English Dictionary defines amalgamation as a process in which separate organizations unite to form a larger organization or group, or an organization or group formed in this way. When you probe further, you will find that the word amalgamation is applicable to objects such as metals and corporate organizations, not necessarily people in the context of a nation. Therefore, the Amalgamation Proclamation of 1914 can hardly be said to be a case study on forging true nationhood. Instead, the emphasis was on the most effective means of managing an economic enterprise. This foundational gap in the nationhood formation process defined our coexistence right from the beginning and has lingered in our national consciousness. In our book, 10 Downing Street Years, the former British Prime Minister, Iron Lady Margaret Thatcher, wrote, "Nigeria is not a nation. It is an artificial creation of the British." This nationhood gap left a trail of unresolved issues that have come to be described as the national question or the Nigerian question. The national question seeks to answer simple yet complex set of inquiries. To what extent are we truly a nation? How can we design the frameworks of state to forge true nationhood? From 1914 through independence and all through to the present day, our quest for nationhood has been a journey in search of answers to these questions. In addressing the Nigerian question, therefore, I will focus on a very sensitive component of this conundrum, the North-South dimension. At the 2014 National Conference, I saw firsthand the degree of volatility in the relationship between the North and the South of Nigeria. As we convened to seek acceptable solutions to our nation's structural and functional problems, we were greeted with a position paper titled "Key Issues Before northern delegates. You may not believe this, but I was there. We were entering the hall, and all of a sudden, on every seat was this document, Key Issues Before Northern Delegates. The elders from the north, they are key people that came to that conference, came in a big babariga with a map of Nigeria at the back. 80% up, wherever you see on top of River Niger, and 20% below. They said the land size that the southern part has is 20%, and the northern part has 80%. Therefore, they came to negotiate for that 80-20 equation. The document, which had been prepared by northern delegates, argued that since 1914, the North had contributed more to the national economy than the South, but had received less in terms of budgetary allocations. It also argued that the North had over time sacrificed its interests to allow for a Nigerian state. The document not only sought to demand more for the North at the expense of the South, it also preemptively attempted to paralyze the position of the South even before the commencement of deliberations. I hope you know I'm not speaking for the North or the South this afternoon. I'm speaking for the new Nigeria. I was born in Abeokuta and raised in Sokoto. I was born into a Muslim family and I became a Christian. I know both sides like the palm of my hands. The document sought to condition the South to negotiate from a position of weakness to further charge the already tense atmosphere. His Royal Highness Dr. Muhammadu Barikando Mustafa, the Lamido of Adamawa, spoke on behalf of the northern delegates and threatened that they will easily walk out of the conference if the modalities of voting for resolutions at the conference were not resolved. Expectedly, the southern delegates were taken aback and furious and poised to hit back reactionarily at the North. Some had become impatient in the face of the perceived opposition of the North to progressive proposals from the South and were already humming separatist tunes. But some of us were convinced that that was not the best approach. Subsequently, a few fellow Southwest delegates, I can see their faces, about 8 of them, including my dear friend Fola Adiola, Yinka Odumaki, Dr. Akimba, and a few others, met at my residence with some consultants to brainstorm on the issue. This may interest you, that when they said 80-20, they were right in terms of land size, but they did not consider the Atlantic Ocean part from where the oil was being taken as part of the South. So we redrew the map, as I will read to you later, and included that territorial waters, and we became more than equal partners, even having more than they have. Ogmoju Agbara law. That's a Yoruba proverb saying, wisdom is better than weapons of war. Subsequently, a few fellow Southwest delegates met at my residence with some consultants to brainstorm on the issue. With the support of the International Center for Reconstruction and Development, ICRD, the think tank I founded in 2007, and the collaboration of the consultants, we created an intelligent rebuttal titled, Lest We Forget. Besides correcting the factual misconceptions and fallacious assumptions in the Northern document, we reminded the delegates to the conference that under international law, the continental shelf of the Atlantic Ocean is connected to the southern territory of Nigeria. Considering this, we redesigned the map of Nigeria to extend the southern territory into the continental shelf. Having thus positioned ourselves to negotiate from a position of strength, we emphasize the need to build a united Nigeria made up of a strong North and an equally strong South, rather than adopting a divisive approach. Eventually, the conference regained its focus and unanimously, without any objection, unanimously passed its resolutions, including the Nigerian Charter for National Reconciliation and Integration, which I had the privilege of sponsoring during the conference. I refer to this experience because it brought to the fore the plethora of unresolved issues sitting beneath the relationship, beneath the North, and between the North and the South, like a keg of gunpowder. It brought to the fore the North-South dimension of the Nigerian question, or what you may also call the North-South question. It brought to the fore the frosty relations between Northern and Southern Nigeria even before the 1914 amalgamation. The North-South question encompasses the unresolved differences and grievances, the mutual distrust and suspicion, and the power struggles between the two major geopolitical divisions in the country. It has been a tumultuous quest for an acceptable basis of existence and interaction. Let me go deeper on this North-South question and our history of grievances. Historically, the dissonance between the North and South of Nigeria traces its origin to the South advance of the Sokoto Caliphate in the 18th century. Opinion leaders in the South see this southward advance as a manifestation of an imperialist agenda with a persisting legacy. The North-South trust deficit was further widened prior to and following the amalgamation as the colonial administration isolated the colonies along sectional lines, especially the North-South geopolitical lines. When the southern part of Nigeria began to demonstrate considerable radicalism, the colonial masters became wary of this influence spreading northward. They therefore deliberately hindered the inflow of Christian missions and Western education to the northern part of the country. The colonialists also created a governance structure which isolated the North into the native authority system and denied its representation in the Legislative Council created under the Clifford Constitution of 1922. As a result of this, the North was given late exposure to national governance in any form. This produced inequity between the North and the South as far as developmental progress and preparedness is concerned. By the time the North and the South came together in the first broadly representative federal legislature in 1947 under the Richards Constitution, the obvious regional disparities jolted the North. By so doing, the colonialists not only set the stage for future development inequalities, they also fostered resentment and hindered such open and honest conversations that could have dealt with conflict hotbeds long before independence. Am I boring you? The first signs that all was not well with the system were statements credited to the leading lights of Nigerian nationalism at that time. For instance, in 1947, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, in his book, Path to Nigerian Freedom, stated, Nigeria is not a nation. It's a mere geographical expression. There are no Nigerians in the same sense as there are English, Welsh, or French. The word Nigerian is merely a distinctive appellation to distinguish those who live within the boundaries of Nigeria from those who do not. Furthermore, Tafawa Balewa, years before becoming Prime Minister, said while addressing the Legislative Council in 1948, a year after Awo's declaration, he said, and I quote, "Since 1914, the British government has been trying to make Nigeria into one country. But the Nigerian people themselves are historically different in their backgrounds, in their religious beliefs and customs, and do not show themselves any sign of willingness to unite. Nigerian unity is only a British intention for the country." Years later, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Premier of the Northern Region, compounded the matter when he said, "The new nation called Nigeria should be an estate of our great-grandfather Usman Dan Fodio. We must ruthlessly prevent a change of power. We use the minorities in the north as willing tools and the south as a conquered territory, and never allow them to rule over us and never allow them to have control over their future." This distrust of the prospects of nationhood by northern and southern leaders soon led to the first open confrontation between the two camps in 1953, when the motion for independence was moved by Chief Anthony Enahoro. Reacting to the motion, Sir Ahmadu Bello reminded the Legislative Council that 60 years ago, there was no Nigeria, but merely a collection of communities very different in outlook and mode of life. In essence, the motion for independence was vehemently resisted by the northern representatives as the north was unprepared for self-rule. Instead of 1956 date proposed, would have been independent before Ghana. Instead of the 1956 date proposed, the north amended the motion to read, "as soon as practicable." As a result of these differences, the south walked out of the Legislative Council, while the northern representatives were openly ridiculed by the southern mercies on the streets of Lagos. Following this debacle, the Action Group sent a delegation led by Chief Samuel Akintola on a tour of the north to mobilize support for the cause of independence among the northern mercies. This move precipitated the first inter-ethnic riots in Nigerian history, known as the Kanu riots. At this point, the northern leaders reached what appeared to be the limits of patience and threatened secession. They were the first to threaten it, or the adoption of an 8-point program which emphasized regional autonomy. Be that as it may, our founding fathers navigated these conflicts, hotbeds, with intense negotiations at conferences that culminated in eventual independence and the adoption of a federal system of government with the regions as federating units. These negotiations by our founding fathers sought to redefine the Nigerian construct from the commercial undertone to the genuine quest for nationhood. However, even independence could not truly resolve the North-South question. When the British eventually began to take off the vestiges of colonialism to pave way for independence, reports allege that the former colonialists tilted the ethno-political balance in the interest of the North. Soon, the northern region, in the bid to bridge the development gap between the North and South, adopted what he called the Northernization policy. I will explain that to you. By this policy, Northerners were given priority consideration for public service roles. Where there was no qualified Northerner, the opportunity will be extended to an expatriate on a contractual basis. Nigerians from other parts of the country will only be considered, again on contractual basis, where no expatriate could take on that role. This affirmative action policy was however received by the South as discriminatory. The issue of an acceptable national census also heightened tensions around the North-South questions. Since the first census in 1921, all through to the 2006 census, population counting in Nigeria has always been controversial, sometimes resulting in violence. The reason is not far-fetched. Population figures determine how many seats each constituent part gets in a representative government, and they also determine revenue allocations. More than this, in an ethnically charged electoral system, they are predictive of election results. The ethnic construct of political parties in Nigeria also serve to heighten North-South tensions. Political parties in Nigeria began to take on a sectional undertone when the Northern People's Congress, NPC, was formed in 1949. They did not hide it at all. They call it the Northern People's Congress. The NPC was formed in apparent rejection of the avowed nationalist inclination of the pre-existing National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons established by Southern leaders in 1944. This ethnic undertone of political parties set the stage for post-independence election disputes and political intrigues between the North and the South. It was against this backdrop of politically motivated mutual suspicion that the first coup and counter-coup were prosecuted. The ensuing violent actions and reactions around these events climaxed in the Nigerian Civil War that claimed the lives of many Nigerians. Even after the Civil War, the North-South question remained unresolved. The resulting military era only perpetuated Northern dominance in the political space. As a result, since independence, although 13 individuals spread over 5 administrations have served either as presidents or heads of state, only 4 of them have been from the South. More questions arose with respect to North-South relations when the June 12, 1993 elections were annulled. They became even more complex when 5 years later, General Sani Abacha, who was notorious for clamping down on mainly Southern opposition to his dictatorship, died as head of state. Matters became more complicated when the winner of the June 12, 1993 president elections, Chief MKO Abiola, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, died a month later. Are you bored? The North-South question continued to demand answers when we returned to civil rule in 1999. It was what was at play when the North endorsed Chief Olusegun Obasanjo for the presidency in 1999, while the South, in particular the Southwest, largely supported Chief Olufalaye. It showed up in the 2011 presidential elections as a clear division within the country between the North-South Muslim-Christian lines, with the South voting for People's Democratic Party of Goodluck Jonathan and the North voting for the Congress for Progressive Change of Muhammadu Buhari. The North-South question has been at the heart of every allegation of sectional interest in federal government policies and programs. It was at the heart of the Northern perception of marginalization during the presidency of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. It was at the heart of the ultimatum given by certain Northern youth groups to the Igbos to vacate the North by October 2017. It's at the heart of the outcry over perceived lopsided appointments by President Muhammadu Buhari. Is at the heart of the bickering over revenue allocation, the demand for resource control, the herder-farmer conflict, and the clamor for self-determination by various groups in the country, from the independent people of Biafra IPOB to the Niger Delta Avengers. Ahead of the 2019 elections, the North-South question is the lens through which the issues will likely be approached by many Nigerians. is at the heart of the misrepresentations of the call for misinterpretations, I beg your pardon, is at the heart of the misinterpretations of the call for restructuring and even the rejection of those calls by certain quarters. Take it or leave it. The 2019 presidential elections will revolve around the North-South question, even though the two leading candidates are Northerners. It is what makes the choice of running mates a major deciding factor in the presidential electoral equation. I'm glad that you are aware now that Peter Obi has been chosen from the South, and possibly the Oshibajo vice presidency, no matter how shaken it is, may still be kept in order to keep the Southwest votes. It's a question that demands answers, a question that demands national reflections, a question that demands a return to the negotiation table. Let me state at this juncture that my close involvement in the political space since 2009 has been about finding a resolution to the North-South question. The North-South question and my political trajectory. On the 23rd of December 2009, on a British Airways flight from London to Lagos, I saw a vision that changed the course of my life. I saw male conjoined twins who shared a head. One had the left ear, while the other had the right ear. They both wore baseball caps to cover their unusually long ears. As I look on in their vision, they both spoke at the same time. I heard both boys pleading, "Don't separate us. If you do, we'll both die." When I awoke from that vision, I instantly thought that God was speaking to me in respect of pregnant women. Don't blame me, I'm a pastor. At the Lateran Assembly, where I serve as overseer. And so I asked the prayer team to pray against congenital deformities. However, God impressed upon me that He was showing me the state and the fate of the north and south of Nigeria. He was showing me that despite the imperfections of both parts of the country, separating them will amount to national suicide. I therefore charge the prayer team to pray against the disintegration of our country. Then on the 2nd of January 2010, as the polity had begun to heat up in respect of the health status of the then President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, I had another vision. In this second vision, I saw two young girls, aged about 10 and 8 respectively. The younger one had renal failure and was about to undergo surgery. The older girl said, "I don't want my sister to die. I will donate my kidney." I then saw both of them wheeled into the theater. After a while, the surgeon came out, pulled off his blood-stained gloves and said, "The surgery has been successful." When I woke up, it was impressed upon my spirit once again that the two sisters represent the north and south of Nigeria, and that both parts must cooperate to facilitate the recovery of each region by trustful give and take. In Ezekiel chapter 37, particularly verses 15 to 22, we see a template for north-south collaboration, and this has formed the bedrock of my convictions. Listen to the conversation between God and prophet Ezekiel. Again, the word of the Lord came to me saying, "As for you, son of man, take a stick for yourself and write on it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write on it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. Then join them, the two sticks together, one to another, for yourself into one stick, and they will become one in your hand. And when the children of your people speak to you, saying, 'Will you not show us what you mean by this?' say to them, 'Thus says the Lord God, surely I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim and the tribes of Israel, his companions, and I will join them with it, with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they will be one in my hand. And the sticks on which you write will be in your hand before their eyes. Then say to them, thus says the Lord God, surely I will take the children of Israel. That includes you now. Are you listening? I'm not sure you are listening. Then surely I will take the children of Israel from among the nations, wherever they have gone. Am I talking to Nigerians in the diaspora? Can I repeat that again? Surely I will take the children of Israel from among the nations, wherever they have gone, and will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land, on the mountain of Israel, and one king shall be king over them. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall they ever be divided into two kingdoms again. In essence, no more north-south divides. Just one nation under God. No more local versus diaspora. Just one nation. No more. I want you to supply the other word that is raging in Nigeria now. Try. Where certain people are settlers and others are indigents. No more settlers and indigents, just one nation under God. No more us versus them, just one nation under God. When I agreed to serve alongside with President Muhammadu Buhari, the reason that was uppermost in my heart was the number one item in the Constitution and the manifesto of Congress for Progressive Change. If you ever had seen the manifesto, it reads, Nigeria will be restored back along true federalism. And number two, never again will Nigerians be asked to fill forms bearing state of origin. It will be state of residence. I had the two visions I revert to when Nigeria was facing imminent disintegration. Knowing that God was asking me to intervene, I summoned civil society groups to a meeting at Sheraton Hotel, Lagos on the 7th of January 2010. That day, Save Nigeria Group was born, and it became my lot to lead it. From January 12, we began engaging the system until the issues surrounding the North-South question at that time were resolved by the doctrine of necessity. After that victory over constitutional crisis, we engaged the government of President Goodluck Jonathan on the need to restructure Nigeria and set the country on the path to a true people's constitution. Our proposals were contained in what we call a contract to save and transform Nigeria. When that government failed to heed our calls, we decided to seek credible alternatives together with whom we could salvage our nation. Consequently, as I've said in the past, I invited a number of brilliant minds to my residence to deliberate on the way forward. The group, then known as the Arrowheads, comprised of the likes of Obi Ezekwesili, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Donald Duke, Nasir El-Rufai, Nuri Badu, Fola Adeola, Jimmy Lawal, Jimmy Agbaje, Yinka Odumaki, Wale Oshun, my wife and I, and a few others. Furthermore, as I've explained elsewhere, our aim for that group was to build a winning team from amongst this new breed of leaders that we call the best of the North and the best of the South. And when I was asked by the group to be its chairman, I accepted only on the condition that I would not be required to join any political party and that I would not run for elective office. Our strategy was to engage the leading political parties ahead of the 2011 elections with a view to building this willing team around the most credible and most plausible candidate. Our engagements at the time revealed that the then General Muhammadu Buhari of the Congress for Progressive Change is the best suited among the contenders. We made our findings known to the nation in the State of the Nation broadcast on October 10, 2010 at the Lateran Assembly. However, it came as a shock to me when on January 15, 2011, Muhammadu Buhari invited me to be his running mate. At first, I refused. And after a meeting between Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the content of which was communicated to me by Nasir El-Rufai, I suggested Okonjo-Iweala as running mate to General Muhammadu Buhari for the following reasons. First, he ticked the gender box. And then he resolved ethnic question, especially as regards Eastern Nigeria, which had had a history of exclusion since the Civil War. Moreover, given a pedigree as a managing director at the World Bank, it was going to guarantee international support. Nevertheless, Muhammadu Buhari was unyielding in his nomination of me. After several consultations, I accepted his invitation and jumped into the fray on the condition that the restructuring of the nation will be made the paramount agenda in our manifesto, as I said earlier. We lost that election to the force of incumbency. During the campaigns, President Buhari had declared publicly that we never again contest for public office. However, I was convinced that Nigeria needed him to stabilize the polity and to pave the way to the new Nigeria. I remember entering his bedroom while he was recuperating in the UK, and I said, "You are taking your word back. You are going to run again, but this time you will win." I led some of the arrowheads to him and persuaded him not to throw in the towel. We then facilitated his meeting with the leaders of the Southwest and ignited a series of negotiations that led to the eventual formation of the All Progressive Congress by way of a merger of the Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, with the Erstwhile Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, the All Nigerian People's Party, ANPP, and a faction of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA. And you know also that 7 governors from PDP, including Saraki, eventually opted to join the equation. It was my privilege to move the CPC motion for that merger at Eagle Square in Abuja on the 11th of May 2013. Shall I continue? All these involvements in the polity were geared towards resolving the North-South question. From accepting President Buhari's nomination in 2011 to facilitating the political merger, I was bridging the North-South divide in line with the visions God had showed me. I was also doing this in the spirit of a vision I had as a 13-year-old when I saw myself on a mountaintop with 2 notable personalities in the Nigeria political space, the head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, a northerner, and then leader of government business, the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, a southerner. We were overlooking Nigeria and having conversations about the nation. That was April 10, 1967, just before my 13th birthday. Decades after that childhood vision, the North-South question and indeed the broader dimensions of the Nigerian question still demand answers. These answers will be found in a re-examination of the substance of our nationhood. They will be found in efforts at national reconciliation and integration. They will be found in resolutions that seek to transit our country from the amalgamation to the making of a great nation. They will be found in frameworks that seek to recreate the structure of our polity. The North-South question and other dimensions of the Nigerian question must be approached with the understanding that at the heart of the matter is a quest for equitable distribution of resources. In essence, it's an economic question as much as it is a social and political one. It is a question on the minds of nearly 87 million Nigerians back home across the country, north and south, who cannot tell where their next meal is going to come from. It is the same question on the mind of the women in Yabo, Sokoto, and the women in Opoma, Bayelsa, who cannot access decent prenatal health care. The same question on the mind of the widow in Gazrawa, Borno State, who lost her husband to a Boko Haram attack, and the widow down south in Abakaliki, whose soldier husband was killed fighting Boko Haram. The same question on the mind of the farmer in Plateau State and the farmer in Edo State, who both lost their wives to the murderous activities of criminal headsmen. The same question on the minds of parents from Kebbi to Calabar, who cannot afford a decent education for their children or decent shelter for their families. It is the same question on the mind of the graduate of Ahmadu Bello University in Kaduna in the north and the alumnus of the University of Ibadan in the south, who are both caught up in a rat race of limited jobs in an underdeveloped national economy. The same question on the minds of the government clerk in Yola and the public school teacher in Umuahia, who have not been paid salaries for several months. The same question on the minds of ordinary Nigerians across the nation, in the north and in the south, who are united in suffering in the audacious hope that in spite of the pains of today, one day it will be better. It is why my answer to the Nigerian question is the restructuring of our nation to foster the geo-economic potential of the 6 geopolitical zones that embody the north and the south. It is why in the year 2019, in the 2019 election, my involvement will be geared towards facilitating the honest conversations necessary to resolve the broader dimensions of the Nigerian question, including the North-South question. It is why I will be stirring up the Nigerian people at home and abroad around an idea whose time has come, mobilizing the people around the compelling vision of the new Nigeria, bringing together the major contenders for the 2019 elections and getting them to commit to the pathway to a new Nigeria that are called 16 pragmatic steps to restructuring Nigeria. Let me say here, without dropping names, that Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate for PDP, had visited my home twice. And last week, Thursday, I sat with the president of Nigeria that I've started my own mission to build a political family that would change the narratives in Nigeria so that restructuring our country will not only become acceptable to all sides, but it will become the main thing. During a live broadcast from the Lateran Assembly this past Sunday, I unveiled the 16 pragmatic steps. Let me reiterate them on this platform so that the Nigeria in diaspora will be challenged to own the narrative and to demand the implementation of this blueprint towards a new Nigeria. 16 pragmatic steps towards restructuring Nigeria. Phase 1, the first 2 years, 2019 to 2021. Step 1, the President by an executive order and in full consultation with the National Assembly and the Council of State shall establish a Presidential Commission for National Reconciliation, Reintegration, and Restructuring. Step 2, to chair the Presidential Commission, the President shall appoint a wise and discerning Nigerian who must be incorruptible, of high moral standing, and of unquestionable integrity, highly respected among national influencers, able to build bridges among the diverse interest groups in the country, and willing to serve his or her fatherland without remuneration. Step 3, the chairperson shall devolve the Presidential Commission into 6 zonal commissions and shall appoint for each zone a zonal commissioner. The zonal commissioners shall be technocrats mandated to create and implement master plans. This is where you come in. All of you have worked in this area of national development, who have been consultants over the years. The zonal commissioners shall be technocrats mandated to create and implement master plans for their respective geoeconomic zones and to coordinate the transition of the economies of the states within the zone into integrated zonal economies, working closely with the respective state governments. Step 4. The Presidential Commission will launch a nationwide reconciliation and reintegration drive and shall creatively communicate the new Nigerian narrative with a compelling national vision and brand identity. I want you to please take note of the things I'm saying and ask questions for clarification, because clarity is power. Step 5. The Commission shall institute a social impact bond for the implementation of the zonal economic master plans. The financing scheme shall be structured into key sectors, including agriculture, manufacturing, and solid minerals development, as well as the creative, culture, and innovation industries based on zonal competitive advantage. Education and human capital development in each zone shall then be designed to build capacity for the socio-economic and industrial agendas of the respective zones. Phase 2, the next 2 years, 2021 to 2023. Step 6, through the policy harmonization and coordination, the state governments will progressively integrate the state economies into zonal economies. The zonal commissions at this point will relate to the state as regional developmental consultants, midwiving the emergence of 6 geo-economic zones in line with the zonal master plans. Step 7. As internally generated revenue increases, the federal allocations disbursed to the states and local councils from the federation account will be progressively reduced. At the same time, the percentage derivation, which is the amount of revenue retained by the state as it was in 1960 up to 1966, of revenue retained by the state from which it was generated, will be progressively increased by necessary constitutional alterations. Step 8. A counterpart funding mechanism will be instituted as a competitive reward scheme for the zones based on their internal revenue generation efforts. Access to this counterpart funding will not depend only on the amount of internal revenue, but also on the effort and creativity deployed in integrating the economies of the states in each zone, especially in areas of competitive advantage. Step 9. A series of constitutional alterations will be championed as needed through the national and state assemblies. This will progressively devolve powers to the states so they can have greater control of their economies. In turn, the states will confer greater powers of consultation on the zonal commissions so that on behalf of their client states, the commissions can take further steps towards integrating the states in line with the respective zonal master plans. Phase 3, the next 4 years, 2023 to 2027. Step 10. A series of succession steps will be taken to consolidate the gains of the first 4 years. First, the chairperson of the Presidential Commission, having been tested with the geo-economic development agenda, may opt to serve in an elective or appointive capacity. The Presidential Commission will then be transitioned to the office of the Prime Minister, dedicated to implementing the regional development agenda. The President, who will emerge from the 2023 elections, will then appoint a technocrat as Prime Minister with the ratification of the National Assembly. Step 11. The federal government, through the office of the Prime Minister, will begin to reduce its involvement in socio-economic management to that of policy standards regulator and facilitator, ensuring global best practices. I'm sure as you're hearing President, Prime Minister, you are going to ask questions, and I'm ready for you. Step 12. The states, through the zonal commissioners, will continue to manage socio-economic policies in line with the zonal master plans with the facilitation of the Prime Minister. At this point, the Nigerian economic map will have taken the shape of 6 geo-economic regions, 36 economic hubs, and 109 industrial clusters derived from the present senatorial districts. Step 13. The President, focusing on defense, foreign affairs, and national integration, will begin to geostrategically position Nigeria in the international community as an African great power. Phase 4, the next 4 years, 2027 to 2031. Step 14. By 2027, this geoeconomic and geosocial model, which will have been in operation for 8 years under the 1999 Constitution as amended, will be codified into a geopolitical framework. The framework will have geopolitical zones as federating units, as well as a modified presidential system of government. The result will be a new draft constitution that will have for its preamble the Nigerian Charter for National Reconciliation and Integration. Step 15. Nigerians at home and in the diaspora will be accorded the opportunity to adopt this framework through a referendum, thereby giving the people a constitution that will be truly deserving of the introduction. We, the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Step 16. The succession plan once again be activated to bring in a new generation of leaders. This new generation of leaders who will have already been integrated into the leadership ecosystem will continue the rapid socioeconomic advancement. They will ensure the consolidation and expansion of Nigeria's positioning as a global power made up of 6 geopolitical zones, each of them more prosperous than Dubai. In due course, this generation of leaders will in turn pass the baton to the next generation. I tell you the truth, I lie not. We have studied, we have gone far and near to gather all this together, and we know it will work. Conclusion. The 16 steps are mapped out with the confidence that the best of the North and the best of the South can come together to lay out the frameworks of an equitably structured nation. They are designed with the understanding that we, as one people, can begin to unite our hearts in the quest for a more perfect union. They are phased in such a manner that ensures that no part of our nation is left behind and no part is hindered from developing a competitive edge. In the end, would have provided sure answers to the Nigerian question so that it will no longer matter which part of the country one is from, north or south. We will all be proud of our identity as Nigerians and citizens of a great and prosperous nation. That is the new Nigeria we must vigorously negotiate. We must vigorously negotiate for in 2019 and beyond. I'm convinced that by the grace of God and the resolve of Nigerians, Nigeria will be saved, Nigeria will be changed, and Nigeria will become great in my lifetime. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and God bless our nation, Nigeria.
Can we have another round of applause for our special guest? Thank you very much, sir. We just want to apologize for the technical glitches that we have, and we want to apologize to the... It has been conquered. All right, so I'm sure we are thirsty for more. At this point, we're going to take a very short break for about maybe 10-15 minutes. If you want to use the bathroom, we have water at the back of the hall, flavored and unflavored. And we expect you back in about 10-15 minutes. Thank you very much.